It's always something, right?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the meeting of the County Transportation Council Technical Committee. Hope everyone can hear me. This is our March 25th meeting, so we'll start the meeting with a call for citizens' comments.
Should we do introductions?
We can do introductions. Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't we go around the room with introductions? My name is Dennis Doyle. I'm the planning director and also director of the Transportation Council.
I am Mike Bodette with the New York Thruway Authority. Ed Pine with Ulster County DPW.
Allie Fairley with New York State DOT.
Jean Walsh, Town of Rosendale.
Brian Slack, Ulster County Transportation Council.
Robert Leibowitz, Ulster County Planning Department.
And for those online, I'm going to ask Rob to call the names off.
Hey, if you're online, so, you want me to-
Just ask, yes, call the names. Just
Okay.
ask them to introduce themselves.
Okay, Supervisor Quigley,
James Quigley, Supervisor, Town of Ulster.
Ms. Fortson,
Leanne,
yeah,
Leanne Thornton, Town of Saugerties.
Mary Beth,
Mary Beth Majestic, Gardner Town Supervisor.
see, Ms. Klein,
I'm Naomi Klein with Creighton Manning.
and Ms. Fry.
I'm Maris Fry with Transpo Group.
Okay, Schulteis,
John Schulteis, City Engineer, City of Kingston.
so we got a bunch more, Phillips, I don't know. Keith.
Keith Phillips, City of Kingston.
Emily Flynn,
Emily Flynn, City of Kingston Health and Wellness Director.
and Raul Izari.
Raul Rosario with FHI Studio.
That's everybody.
Great. Thank you all for joining. Call for citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments in the room? Any citizens' comments online? Any comments from any of the council members? Hearing none. Approval of the January 28th, 2025 Technical Committee meeting summary. Can I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you, Supervisor Quigley. Do I have a second? Mr. Pine?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Pine. I have a motion and a second. Any comments or discussion?
written copy is here on the table.
Hearing none, the minutes of the technical committee for 28 January 2025 are approved. Communications and announcements, Brian?
Yes, good morning. I have a number of announcements. I guess we'll start with some good news from UCTC from our friends at the Federal Highway and Federal Transit Administration. They have reviewed our annual Unified Planning Work Program and have approved it. So that's great news. Thanks to all of our partners locally on the MPO and at the state in helping us to get that done in once again, which is a shortened period of time from beginning to end. So we really appreciate that. I also received correspondence here, and perhaps Supervisor Walsh, you can maybe speak to it. It's Town of Rosendale directed to us at the UCTC regarding a request to the New York State Department of Transportation to expand the scope of a traffic study to address traffic safety concerns in the vicinity of State Route 32 and State Route 213 and surrounding areas around the town of Rosendale's Main Street. And then the attached resolution accompanies the letter. And this is, I believe, Gene, we received a positive response from Region 8 from Lance McMillan saying that they would engage in a study, but the town wants the area expanded from hilltop to hilltop.
Correct.
I believe.
Yes, and we've had a number of resolutions and requests in the past. And we felt that as they're looking to take some action, we'd really like to look at the whole situation. It's not just dangerous in one spot, it's dangerous from hilltop to hilltop. And up near the rec center, the speed limit is 55. People can't cross the street. It's just really, really dangerous. So we're asking for expanded scope of the study.
Very well.
I felt it was important that you guys got the copy of that.
Appreciate that.
And we'll stay apprised of that situation. And there's also an ongoing safety study that should be nearing completion in the village of New Paltz. That is following a similar methodology that we'll follow up with shortly. Other correspondence, everyone should have received an email blast from our office regarding new transportation funding opportunities. Was sent out on March 6th, 2025. There are two funding opportunities that were identified in this notification. One is our own transportation improvement program, call for projects. This is the request for expressions of interest letters regarding remaining funds yet to be programmed on the upcoming TIP update. And we have been receiving responses from municipalities with bridge and other surface transportation projects. So the deadline for those letters is this Friday at close of business. If you have any projects that you think could benefit from federal transportation aid, feel free to contact me and submit those. This is a very straightforward process. We just need them identified at this point in time. The other funding opportunity is regarding the New York State DOT Roadway Departure Safety Action Plan. They're doing a local call for projects, which the NPOs will be participating in directly. The deadline for this call is June. I don't know the exact date in June. The first training was held yesterday morning, as it was a 2-hour webinar. It was a little short of 2 hours, where central office safety staff walked us through the process. And there are quite a few, 15 to 20 different types of proven safety countermeasures that are eligible for funding in locations that have been pre-identified by New York State DOT using over a decade of crash data, identifying the locations most likely to have sideswipe, head-on, and road departure crashes on the state highway system, or on the entire state, New York State road network, not just the state system. They will be coming out with a mapping tool that is not yet debuted that will help local applicants identify those locations that have been pre-identified if they are in your municipality. And then you can begin to consider the types of treatments or actions that you might want to consider funding for. It's 95% federally reimbursable. Again, the deadline is in mid-June. And that webinar, if you're not able to attend it yesterday, it has been recorded and will be posted on the website. So you can go to the UCTC page, follow the links regarding the local roadways, the safe systems approach on highways across New York regarding roadway departure funding.
And June 13th is the date.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Those are all of the communications I have.
Anything from NISDOT, from a communication standpoint, you want to bring up, Al?
No, I don't think anything. I think Brian covered it with the new program, the RWDSAP. So hopefully, we'll get some good projects.
Anything from the Thruway Authority? Okay. Moving on to new business. A, draft UCTC resolution 2025-07, allocation of previously unallocated Federal Transit Administration Section 5307 formula funds for regional transportation projects. I have a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Supervisor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Pine. I have a motion to second discussion, Brian.
Sure. Members should be aware that we program FTA 5307 funding is allocated to the transportation management area. Orange, Dutchess, and Ulster County agrees on the distribution of those funds on an annual basis, and we partner with New York State DOT and FTA and Metro North in determining the distribution of those funds. Every time those funds are allocated, there's always savings left over. And if you refer to attachment 1 on page 3 of resolution 7, those savings are detailed at the very top of the page. Over the course since 2020, we have amassed just shy of $17 million in FTA 5307 funding. So these were released in December through a competitive process where designated recipients, those eligible public transit providers, could apply for these funds. And a team of NPO staff from the 3 counties, as well as New York State DOT, reviewed the applications and recommended the awards as detailed on page 3 of the resolution. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 awards in total. I'll start at the top. Dutchess County Bus Replacement Program, purchase of 12 heavy-duty buses, total award of just over $6 million. Ulster County electric buses and upgraded software. 4 electric buses would be purchased for a total, as well as upgraded software, which I believe they will be going through an RFP process for their software needs. That's an award of $4.3 million. The village of Curious Joel in Orange County requested a bus procurement of 11 buses, as well as a transit modernization and efficiency project, the details of which escape me at the moment. I apologize, but those were both awarded separately, 3.5 million and 1.5 million respectively. The MTA Metro North had requested 552,000 for upgrades to bridges on the Harlem line in Dutchess County. And finally, the village of Monroe in Orange County requested $210,000 for park and ride improvements at one location. All of these funds require a state and local match of 20%.
Any questions?
And I should also note that we will continue to have remaining funds of $767,000 after these funds are distributed.
Any questions from anyone in the room? Any questions from anyone online? Hearing none, any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Item B. Draft UCTC Resolution 2025-08, amendment to the UCTC Federal Fiscal Year 2023-2027 Transportation Improvement Program to add a new Ulster County Area Transit UCAT PIN number 8TU020 as shown in attachment 1. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I have Mr. Pine. Do I have a second? Somebody online?
I'll make a second.
Thank you, Supervisor. I have a second. Brian, discussion.
Sure. One revision or error that I'd like to point out in the agenda, the PIN reference is 8TU020. We determined that PIN was already used. If you look at the attachment on page 2 that shows the draft tip strip, the correct PIN is listed 8TU022. That will be the PIN used. So any new funding to be added to the UCTC tip requires first technical committee review and approval, then 15-day public notice and review and comment period, and finally policy committee review and approval. This resolution 2025-8 would create the new PIN ATU022 to add the transit award that was just approved under resolution 7. And you can see under the description, the new description is shown there, 4 battery electric buses, as well as transit routing and scheduling software. And it identifies the source of federal funds.
I have a question.
Yes.
How are the battery operated buses operating and performing now that we have?
Anyone on from UCAT?
I asked UCAT to attend. They said they would be here, but I don't see them.
Okay, guess we can't answer that.
So we can get you that answer. The short answer is they're all online. They're all on deployed. They've been pretty successful during the not so cold months, but during the colder months, they've lost a lot of their efficiency.
I had heard there might have been some that
There-
were needed to be worked on a lot and it was.
There were
something-
previous software problems with the buses.
So
They've
was
been
it-
down and worked, and my understanding is that those software problems have been resolved, although there's an occasional glitch here and there.
The original 3 buses were new flyers. And the UCAT has decided to transition to Gilligs, which traditionally, I believe they've been very comfortable with diesel Gilligs in the past. I think it's a manufacturer that they're more comfortable with. So we'll see.
But we can get you a detailed answer.
I
Supervisor.
don't need a detail, I'm just
Okay.
curious whether they were resolving the problems that they were having. Okay.
They are all in service. I know
Okay.
that's the case. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Any opposed? Any abstention? So carried. Thank you. Item C, draft resolution 2025-09 in support of the New York State Department of Transportation targets for performance measures related to bridge and pavement conditions on the national highway system and freight performance on the national highway system. I have a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Supervisor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I didn't catch that voice. So
Supervisor Quigley, second.
thank you, Supervisor. Much appreciated. I have a motion and a second. Brian, discussion?
Sure, performance management requirements came into law under the previous Surface Transportation Act, MAP 21, and has been carried through since. So it requires MPOs and New York State DOT to monitor conditions on our roads regarding a variety of performance metrics. Resolution 2025-9 addresses performance management 2 and system performance performance measure 2 and performance measure 3. These are the highway and bridge performance measures. For PM2 and PM3, MPOs are allowed to utilize New York State DOT's performance measures. And this is certainly the case with this resolution. We're recognizing the New York State Department of Transportation's performance measures for targets regarding bridge conditions, pavement conditions, system performance, meaning congestion, and interstate freight performance targets for reliability, which is another measure of congestion across the state system in New York State. So these, I believe every MPO will be adopting the New York State Department of Transportation targets. So if you refer to attachment 1, all 4 of these targets are laid out in detail. There's a baseline year, and then targets for year 2 and year 4 that are projected out. I believe there are some slight increases that are being predicted in terms of poor pavements may go up in the 4-year period from 11.3 to 12.8. The measure of good pavement condition may go down. This all boils down to New York State DOT's pavement model. It's a detailed statistical model that predicts the rate of deterioration and factors in the rate of investment that they use and begins to predict what the estimated condition of the system will be. And the same is used for bridge conditions as well. So that in a nutshell is a description of PM2 and PM3. The resolution will ensure that this MPO stays within the requirements, the federal requirements of performance management, which have to be factored in. All these targets need to be detailed in our upcoming transportation improvement program and the long range transportation plan in a performance management plan.
Any questions? I would note that this is not going in the right direction, going in the wrong direction. That gives sense in terms of the availability of resources. I'll leave it at that.
But the targets are within an acceptable
Yes.
rate of deterioration,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
Hearing no questions, no comments? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6, other old business,
Sure.
UCTC 2026 tip update. Ryan?
Regarding the tip, and it's, I'm talking about the tip, Rob, if you could give Raul and Maris.
Never have it.
Co-presenters, thank you.
You know that.
Great. Just a brief update regarding the tip update. So MPOs have agreed that we will have everyone, all 14 MPOs will have adopted tips. Well, I think 12 out of the 14 will have adopted tips by June. Then Tech and Orange County usually take till August. And we are on track at UCTC to have our tip updated by June. So the schedule that we have so far, everyone would have received, as I already mentioned, the expression of interest, notification, if there are transportation needs, whether they be active transportation, non-motorized, surface transportation, or bridge issues, you should bring those to our attention by submitting a letter. And again, I've been receiving those. I have at least 5 or 6 already, and the deadline for those letters is this Friday. After we receive those, we will summarize them and present them at the next meeting in April at the UCTC Policy Committee meeting, so everyone is aware. At that time, we may have recommendations for projects that will be included, new projects that will be included in the UCTC. Bearing in mind, all the projects that are currently programmed on the tip have been made whole. We continue to get some estimates in from a few miscellaneous projects, but overall, any additional funds that were needed or requested have been honored by the UCTC through our fair formula allocation. And what remains is what we're planning on distributing through the expression of interest. We will reserve some funding across several categories if we feel it's prudent to do so. So there's no guarantee that we'll distribute 100% of those funds. If and when we do, those funds will be put in what we call a block program, essentially in savings for future programming. Because I think, as everyone knows, if you have familiarity with federal aid projects, when those projects go to bid, the bid estimates usually often come in above what we have programmed on the tip. So if we require an offset, it's good to have a small amount of money on the tip that we can draw from for future offsets, primarily for construction or design.
And we would anticipate that there will be bridge money available for off-system bridges. We haven't seen all of the applications yet, but we do anticipate that we should have some bridge money there.
Right. The expression of interest letter details all the funds that we believe are available. It's just shy of 1.3 million in STBG flex dollars, which requires state and local match or a local match. And we have over 12 million in off-system bridge funding. That's a significant amount of funding, especially bearing in mind that we expect a Bridge New York call to be issued later this fall. So we should be able to program some new bridges on our transportation improvement program this spring. And if there are bridge issues or concerns, you should definitely be submitting an expression of interest, identifying the bin number. So we'll have those recommendations in draft form next month. And then as we go into the May technical committee meeting, we'll be moving to present the full transportation improvement program to the technical committee for review and hopefully for your approval. At that point, we will have at least one public meeting presenting the tip, probably an evening meeting where we give a PowerPoint presentation. I'm sure we'll do it online, make it available through Zoom, and have it, I don't know, maybe in the legislative chambers if people want to attend in person. And we'll go over the tip in great detail. I'll try to summarize funding categories and where this funding is going to and the status of most of our projects that are included on the tip. After the comment period concludes, which is a 15-day public comment period, the tip will then go to the policy committee in June for final approval. So if everything goes smoothly, we should have an approved tip in June. There's a significant narrative component to it. I mean, the tip, for all intent and purposes, is right here. This is the document. It's a listing of all of our projects. But there are a lot of federal requirements included in the tip. So we will be preparing a roughly 30-page narrative explanation
And not the least of those are finished, right? Thank you. Any questions?
I have something I want to ask about, since you're bringing up bridges. You know, Peter Avenue Bridge was repaired by the county, it had a contractor come in. And, we brought to the county's attention that the sidewalk on the bridge was crumbling. And we were told that that would be handled after that repair. Do you know anything about what?
We had this conversation with Public Works, I believe, last week, and it's my understanding is that they are going to correct the deficiencies in the
Because
sidewalk.
It's at the point where it's kind of dangerous to
Yeah.
walk on the bridge.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the weather.
Yeah, but I even see rebar popping out of there too.
No, I mean, as far as the repairs, you need a little bit better weather.
You need better weather, I understand. I just want to know if there's a plan in place.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Any other questions? So segueing from the tip, one of the things that has to happen with respect to the tip, it has to be consistent with the long-range transportation plan. And the long-range transportation plan is currently under update by UCTC. And we have two sets of consultants working on that. And I'm going to let Brian introduce them.
Sure. First, we have Maris Fry from Transpo, and we also have Raul Irizarry from FHI. And I know, Raul, that you're no longer FHI. I apologize. Old habits die hard, but it's on your it's on your name as well. So welcome both. Just to give our members a quick overview, we initially had a contract with FHI Studio to assist us with public engagement. And I'm going to ask Raul to just give a very brief overview of where we're at right now in the public engagement process. But before I do that, we also later on, after we realized that we would be short-staffed in the fall going into the winter, we realized that we would really need consultant assistance to help us prepare the document itself. Typically, that's done in-house by our staff, but because we were short-staffed, we decided it would be best to hire a consultant. And we're very fortunate to have Transpo Group assisting us with that element. And so in a moment, Maris will walk us through some of the work that they're doing. But before we do that, Raul, can you give us just a really brief update on where we're at with public engagement for the long-range plan?
Yeah, definitely. I can give a quick update on that stuff. Hey, everybody, I'm Raul. Thanks for having me here. So yeah, I'm with FHI Studio, now IMEG, still have our name, but so FHI Studio is completely fine. But right now where we're at with the public engagement for the long range transportation plan, we just released the survey last week that you might have seen blasted there by Brian. And just quick numbers on that stuff. Over the past, probably less than a week, we've got over 169 responses so far. We're getting a lot of good feedback from folks. A lot of these questions are mobility based and they're project based as well. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the survey, please do. You can either find it on the website, on UCTC's website, or on the Participate Ulster page as well, that we're using as our main engagement tool. And just I guess a few quick statistics or interesting things I've found from the survey itself is that, a question like as far as like owning a vehicle in a home, it's about right now from the respondents, there's like 15% of folks do not own a car or have access to a private vehicle. Those are folks who are responding so far. So I thought that was an interesting statistic there. And our towns who are responding the most are, the city of Kingston, we got the town of Marbleton, town of Hurley, and the town of New Paltz are really the ones who are engaging the most. But we've had folks from every town listed on our survey as far as which one you spend the most time in respond to the survey at least. That's just one of the many engagement tools that we're using. Again, there's a Participate Ulster page that you can go on where all of our engagement will live, where we'll pop up in the community and talk to folks, where we're having meetings, where we're right now lining up pop-ups for the spring. So pop-ups are really just any events that we can attend to talk about the long-range transportation plan and talk to folks about what it is, what their thoughts are on it, and what they want to see come from it. So keep an eye out for that over the next couple months. And then we're also planning some stakeholder topic specific interviews with folks to just talk about, specific topics with them. So those are a few ways we're engaging with folks right now. I will say that if you have any event that you're like, oh, this would be a great event to attend, just feel free to reach out to either Brian or myself, and I can coordinate that and see if we can pop up at one of the events right now. Things I've worked in the past are things like farmers markets, even being at the library and talking to folks. And festivals work great as well. Food truck festivals, any kind of festivals. Those are the ones that we see. We get a lot of engagement because folks are already there kind of talking to folks, and it's really informal and you can really have a conversation. So the survey will be up for a while. There's also an interactive map on there. So if you want to leave location specific comments, and that's categorized by biking, driving, or walking, or taking public transportation, you can leave your comments based on those categories on the survey itself. I think that's really where we're at right now with engagement. Again, feel free to reach out to either Brian or myself if you have any questions about the survey, about what we're doing in the future. I'm more than happy to talk to any of you folks about what we're doing.
Thanks so much, Raul. Yeah, just to reiterate, the purpose of the survey is to get a sense of where the public feels our limited transportation dollars should be invested. There are two specific questions, one focusing on highway dollars. And there's I believe we have 10 to 12 different funding possibilities, categories that the respondent can identify. If they had $100, how would they distribute that money? Whether it be bicycle infrastructure, safety infrastructure, or just paving projects. So it's really intended to get a sense of where, as we all know at this table, we have very limited dollars available. Where should those dollars be focused? And then the mapping tool that Raul mentioned gets us down into a project-based response, where we can get a sense of, what project needs the public feels are needed on our transportation system throughout the county.
Emily raised her hand. You have a question, Ellen?
Very quick little thing. First of all, I just think the survey and the mapping tool is fantastic. I love the ordering of the budget. I had trouble ordering the environmental factors and doing the map until I turned off Grammarly, and then it worked. So just want to give that feedback.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we've heard that same comment before. Thank you, Emily. That it's not quite intuitive. I think I had some trouble with it too. So we'll continue to do some minor tweaks. The survey will be open through June. So, and just to note, the response rate in less than a week of 169 is really high, especially when we consider, I emailed it out directly to our UCTC mailing list, which is about 800 individuals. I'm sure there's a good number of them that are just, the email addresses are no longer active. So we're going to have a rolling rollout of this publicity. The county executive's office is going to assist us. We'll request the city of Kingston through the mayor's newsletter to post it. And we'll be putting up posters on our buses throughout the county with a QR code that will take the public directly to that survey. So we're just getting started.
So one of the things we would ask for those folks that are elected officials on the call, if you could mention at your town board meetings, we'll be happy to send you flyers and a QR code that you can put in your agendas. But we'd appreciate if you get the word out for us.
And probably a link from our website to do that too.
Yeah, that would be
Thank you,
fantastic.
Supervisor. Any comments on that? Brian?
Thank you, Raul. Appreciate it. Next we have Maris Fry. I've known Maris for a number of years. She's a planner working for Transpo and assisting us with the update of the document itself. We've been meeting with our consultants at Transpo, which includes a pretty diverse team of planners who have their own areas of specialization. And we're walking through our existing document, the Long Range Transportation Plan from 2045. and seeing what needs to be updated, just on a basic level with new data, and seeing how we can expand the document into new areas of interest and topics. Maris, do you have a few slides to update us with?
Yeah, pretty basic slides. Let's see, can you all see my
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Great. So I just wanted to, I mean, we're still at the pretty early stages of working on the LRTP update. So I just wanted to go over how we see the role of the technical committee, just the overall process of updating the LRTP, and then our schedule. So kind of building on what others have mentioned as far as the engagement goes, we see the technical committee serving as connectors and broadcasters of making sure that we are talking to the right people, making sure that the all of the engagement activities are getting out to as many people as possible. Obviously, that's the survey is a really important piece of the LRTP update. We see you all serving as guides of the LRTP. Obviously, you are the most knowledgeable people within your given municipalities and agencies. So your input is a really important part of the update. And then ultimately, once we have a draft LRTP update, getting your review of the document or particular components of the document will be an important role for you all. So the overall process for updating the long range transportation plan, we break it out into 8 main components. So identifying the transportation needs. So that's really just like understanding what are the most important areas of opportunity, what are the biggest challenges that exist right now in the region. And part of that certainly will come from the survey as that is deployed and we start getting feedback from that. Establishing the goals. So we will be revisiting the goals from the previous LRTP to make sure that they're still consistent with the overall goals of Ulster County, or adjusting that where necessary. The collection of data and information, that's been a really big component of what we've been working on over the last month now. There's a lot of data to collect in order to update the LRTP, and it's one of the things that we focus on the most at the beginning to make sure that we have everything we need to update every section of the document comprehensively, and also make sure that we're requesting data from the right folks, and collecting any additional data that may be necessary for to address new emphasis areas, to again address any of those kind of new or emerging transportation needs. Using that data, we'll be projecting future population and employment. So that's something that we're working on now, based on the data that we've collected. And going forward, once we've been able to process all of the data, we'll be diving more into developing strategies, identifying transportation improvement projects, and then ultimately drafting the long range transportation plan. At which point, we during that part of the process, kind of 5 through 8, that's a part where we will certainly be getting input from the technical committee to make sure that we are adequately addressing the needs of your municipalities. the schedule for the project, so we kicked things off in February. So really the main thing we've been doing over the course of the last month or so is just reviewing the prior LRTP, making sure that we're collecting and requesting all that data. And as of this month, we've also begun drafting specific section updates. And concurrent with that, the public outreach will be happening as Raul mentioned. And then starting in June through August is really going to be the bulk of us compiling the draft LRTP. Late July or early August is when we anticipate the public meetings presenting the draft LRTP. The August 26th meeting will be when UCTC Technical Committee would recommend the draft LRTP to the Policy Committee. And then September 23rd would be when the UCTC Policy Committee votes on the resolution to approve the updated LRTP. And just given the time constraint and schedule constraints, we anticipate likely in October, then following approval of the updated LRTP, we'd be working on the stylized version of this document. And that way we make sure we get all the technical content wrapped up and focus on that in the coming months. So yeah, Brian, anything else?
No, that's great. I should just note that Maris's colleague, Scott Levine, who is working with us as well. Scott's been a transportation consultant for, I think, at least a couple of decades. He's primarily a modeler. He's helped prepare, as well as Maris, long-range plans for many MPOs in New York State and across the country. Scott couldn't be here because he's also a professor of geography at SUNY New Paltz. So some of you may be familiar with Scott through that venue, but he's lecturing right now at New Paltz. So we're happy to have Transpo on board, and we've worked, you may recall, with Transpo on our Human Services Transportation Plan. So they have a lot of just direct knowledge of Ulster County and our transportation network that they're coming to bring to bear on this effort. So we're really pleased so far with the effort we see.
And I just want to say that I would urge everyone to take a look at the existing LRTP and look at the figures and maps in that document and figure out that all of those figures or maps have to be updated. All of that data has to be QA/QC, and there's a significant amount of data that goes into this. One of the most difficult things we're having is the range of population projections for the county. The various sources of population projections of the county go as high as over 200,000 by 2050 to as low as the fact that the population of the county actually decreases between where we are today and where we are going to be in 2050. That's a level of range, and we'll present those as a level. They're presented as a level now in the plan. But think of crash data, think of pavement data, think of all of the things that go into essentially making decisions of how you invest in your transportation system. And all of that data is in the long range transportation plan, and all of it needs to be updated in QA/QC. Supervisor?
I'm just curious if we can identify how much of the 15% of people that don't have cars live in the rural communities that don't have public transportation. And, if that is that information going to be available?
Such is that question in the?
Yeah, so there's the question in the survey, and it's, as Raul noted, it's really interesting that figure is so high because most of the folks that are on the UCTC mailing list are government or administrators of that capacity. When you really want to drill down to the general public, we look to our census tools
Right.
to determine who, the rate of car ownership in households. So we can do that by municipality, I believe. It uses the ACS, American Community Survey, 5-year estimates. And we have it currently in the current plan for 2018. When you get outside of the city of Kingston, because they're estimates, there's
an imputation error.
Yeah, the data
sometimes
becomes
bigger
less
than the
accurate.
number that you're,
Right.
it is because of the size of the survey. In some of the rural areas, that's what ends up happening on this.
I just, I know there's some concern about the people that don't have cars that live on rural roads and how much, I know we've expanded and improved our rural transportation, but I feel like there might be some room for more improvement in that, just because there's so many people that can't get to.
And it could be seniors that are answering the survey as well. Yeah,
seniors.
yeah. That's what could happen. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Anybody online? Robert?
No.
Great. Okay, hearing none.
Thank you,
Project
Maris.
updates?
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
For dropping in.
Thanks for having me.
Updates?
Sure. Project
thanks, all.
update. You're welcome. Thank you. Just 2 project updates. The first is the route optimization plan is still very much ongoing. We're engaged with Foursquare ITP that is doing a wholesale reimagination of Ulster County area transit's routes. You can look at draft preliminary routes right now. If you go to the Participate Ulster page, those have been up there for several months now, and they're being refined based on input we've received from the public. As well as new schedules will be developed, and we expect to present those refined final draft routes and schedules probably in May of this year. We also have just completed a full wholesale inventory and assessment of UCAT's transit software. So UCAT uses a variety of different software tools to develop schedules, to deploy buses, to schedule shifts for their drivers and things of that nature. So all of that software is a bit mysterious, even to transportation planners. The technical memo that it hasn't been released to the public yet, but it should be in the next couple of days, really starts to explain how these software packages work, what UCAT's currently using, what the pros and cons are. It's one of the most insightful technical memos that we've received in recent years, because it really just starts to explain these software systems in layman's terms. And I'm beginning to get a better understanding of them.
And there are significant investments in both in terms of dollars, also in terms of their ability of the UCAT system to respond to change. And particularly if we move into microtransit, to do the scheduling necessary for microtransit.
Right. So I hope to release that in the next few days. It's just going through the final revision as a draft document, and will be put on Participate Ulster shortly. So the project's still very much on schedule. We will look to do a amendment to the contract, and a part of that amendment is to add additional work outside the current scope of work to do an inventory of existing stops and stop amenities, also known as bus shelters. And we'll look at the bus signs. I think if you travel throughout the country, you may know that there are a variety of UCAT bus stop signs that show schedules and other stop information that are just no longer accurate. And we've been asking, where's the inventory of these signs? Who's made them? Do you know where they're located? And there is no clear inventory of the signs. So you can't manage what you can't measure. And we need to have at least a basic inventory of the signs, of the shelters, and other amenities before we can plan for improvements. So that's the purpose of the amendment. It'll be a relatively small in terms of scale of the current contract, but it will require some additional dollars. When that's ready, we're still going back and forth. We'll present that to this board, but we already budgeted for that in the upcoming UPWP, so we will not need to amend the Unified Planning Work Program.
You have another update, right? You had another update?
The only other one is the traffic count program.
Yeah.
And do you have, is that your update?
That's my update. So we do have a new contract with our traffic count folks, and we should be rolling out traffic counts. I don't think we'll make the spring, but we should be able to make the fall traffic counts when school is in session. I did also want to say, and I wonder if Maris is still on, but if she's not, that's okay. I also wanted to say that I also wanted to say, Maris, if you could, we're talking, I know Scott had talked about new data sources with respect to trying to measure traffic using some of the other data sources that are available. I was wondering if you could just discuss those briefly.
Oh, yeah, I am not the expert on it, but I know we are exploring the use of NPM RDS data. I believe, I don't know what that stands for. But we're going to be looking at a few key corridors in the county to understand, different peaking traffic conditions that go beyond just, the AM peak hour or PM peak hour. We're trying to understand, if there are or where there are, more weekend peaks or, Friday afternoon, Sunday afternoon when people might be traveling to and from Ulster County more for recreation purposes. Yeah, so that's one of the additional data sources that we're planning to look into to just look at a different lens of traffic than is typically looked at.
Thanks, Maris. I appreciate that. And then last but not least, Brian, your Traffic Safety Board.
Ulster County Traffic Safety Board has a meeting scheduled for April 7th. The board meets at 6 p.m. First Monday of the month in the Legislative Chambers, 6th floor, Ulster County Government Building.
So before we close, is there any comments or announcements from people in the room, from council members in the room? Any comments or announcements from individuals online? Hearing none, I will remind you that the Ulster County Policy Committee will meet on April 22nd. We look forward to seeing you all there. And at that particular time, we'll consider some of these resolutions as well as some further updates to the tip. Thank you very much for being here. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.